make it come from you, because that is what makes your brand and whatever you're selling or your business unique, is you, right? So you have to plan and set a schedule and just follow through with it. You're listening to the Web Presence Rockstars Podcast with me, Misty Smith of Powered by Rio. If you're an entrepreneur on a small budget and are looking to build and increase your online presence, then you're in the right place. I'm a full-stack website developer, digital marketing strategist, and SEO professional, and I share tips and how-tos on topics on the latest trends such as websites, social media, analytics, marketing, everything you need to know to grow your business online and to become a rock star. Thanks for listening.
Get out of the way, get out of the way. I can do whatever I want, whenever I want. I'm gonna be the biggest rock star that you probably never heard of. I'm gonna be the biggest rock star.
Hey y'all, it's the 50th episode of the Web Presence Rockstars Podcast, and I am your host, Misty Crovo. Yes, I do have a different last name. I got married in July to my boyfriend of 5 years, Kelly. More on that later, because again, this is the 50th episode of the Web Presence Rockstars Podcast. Like, who would have thought? 50th episode. And guess what? I don't have anything special planned. See, that's what took me so long to do this. My last podcast that I released was in May, and I was wanting to do something huge for the 50th episode because it seemed like a huge milestone and something that needed to be celebrated. And I had all these plans, and I was going to do a mini course or an ebook or something. I was going to do something big for you guys. And guess what? I got nothing. Absolutely nothing. Now, I am going to do an episode for you on a topic, but that's going to come here in a few minutes. I just wanted to say, who feels this way? Who feels stuck? Or who feels like you need to pivot in your business? Or who feels like putting yourself out there, but you don't really know what to put out there, and you don't really know what's going to help people, and you don't really know, you go through phases where, is anything that I'm doing helping someone? I mean, am I just listening to myself talk? What am I doing? Also, I was building websites during this time, so it wasn't like I'm just sitting here doing absolutely nothing. I made an e-commerce website for the golf course, which is pretty cool, and that took some time because you have to do the photography and the editing of the photos and then setting up the WooCommerce and doing the website and making sure everything works. The drill if you build websites. But again, it wasn't like I was sitting here doing absolutely nothing. After the wedding, it was 3 weeks to prepare, and so I made bouquets. I did most of it myself. I used, we bought lights from mason jars, and I don't know if I just hit a wall after that. I used to say that I have one creative moment a year, and once that's done, it's done. And maybe the wedding was my creative high point, and I had nothing after that. I don't know. I did build the website and for the e-commerce for all the mason jar logoed shirts and hats and stuff, and it looks really good. If you want to go to it, it's shop.coppercovegolfclub.com and check it out and maybe even buy something. It all works. I got it all set up, so that's good. But who else is feeling this way? Are you stuck, and do you just really feel like, what's next? Have you hit a plateau and it's what's next? And, I kind of feel like the business of just building websites for people is kind of not as lucrative as it was. And I kind of, chalk that up to all the website platforms like Squarespace and Wix and GoDaddy and Shopify and Show It and Webflow and all that. And so you're like, who's going to pay me money to build them a custom website when they can just go and figure it out themselves? But the problem with that is, if, for someone figuring it out themselves, if they don't know what they're doing, then they don't know what they're doing. And that's kind of an opening for me to help people out. I mean, I go to websites all the time and I look at the back end of it and I look at, their SEO and all that. And, people are still missing the mark, and people are still using like outdated and antiquated best practices on, how to get found on Google, and, still using the keywords and not really keeping up with the latest and best practices of now. So, I mean, that's always an option for me. So it's all about marketing and getting yourself out there. And yeah, I do this podcast, but obviously I haven't done an episode in 7 months, which, I feel like a big loser about that, because, I do have listeners. I do have people who listen, and people are still listening. I get, updates on my analytics all the time. And so maybe, there's someone out there who really likes my podcast and they're like, man, I wish she would really put out a new one. And, for marketing purposes, I think podcasts are good. You just have to be consistent. And that's where this podcast episode is kind of coming into play. Again, I wanted to have some kind of grand gesture, download, whatever for you guys, and it just didn't happen. And I just figured, just get it out there. Like, just put it out there. Don't wait for everything to be perfect. And that kind of seems like the trend now. Like, well, not the trend now, but I mean, you've heard it all your life. And for, if you're like me and you're a huge perfectionist and you just want to make sure everything looks amazing before you put it out there, you're not going to get it out there. Obviously, look at this. This is a perfect example of what not to do. So like maybe episode 51 or 52, you're going to have something nice or something grandiose or, nice offer or course or something. But, you have to plan these things. You can't just wing it, right? And that kind of leads me to the topic of this podcast, and it's about content creation. You have to put yourself out there. Whether you're posting on social media, or you're doing a podcast, or you're doing blog posts on your website, or you're updating your website with content every week, or you're sending out emails to your email list. There's lots of ways to do content. Like if you're posting on Pinterest, and my to-do list is a bunch of lost and dropped to-dos that I didn't to-do them. They're still sitting there waiting to be done, and that's not how you build a business nowadays, or ever, really. And I know better than that. Just a season, maybe. I don't know. Just changes and being married and adjustments and busying yourself with other projects that are for other people, which there's nothing wrong with that, because they're, if they pay, and that's awesome, and you're getting paid. But your business is just still sitting there. And for me, I watch other people, and it's not like I'm jealous of other people's businesses who are thriving and people are being successful. I'm not jealous. I'm just more disappointed in myself. And because I know better, I know different. I'm sure you do too, but you might be like me, and you might be in this season or in this period of your life where, what you thought was going to be is not, or maybe whatever you're offering, your products or your services are not, as popular as they once were, and you have to pivot. And so with anything, you have to plan, just like you have to plan your content, right? And there's a lot of people out there who are selling their services as a content creator. And you guys, I got mad respect for you who put your services out as a content creator. I have no problem with you, but I personally would not hire a content creator unless they were solely dedicated to me and my business, and they had some sort of vested interest in my business. And that's kind of like a chance that you take when you hire a VA who has other clients and they're doing content creation for other clients, because, you know, who knows, they're trying to batch too. They might be overbooked and you're getting the same content as someone else, and that's not really helping you. So before you go out and hire a content creator, let's go through some things that you should do first before you hire someone. And I mean, a big one is maybe try doing it yourself. You know, you don't have to have a master's degree in content writing. You don't have to take any Marie Forleo courses or whatever for content creation. I mean, she has a great one. I've sat through it, the free one, but, you know, I'm not going to pay, you know, $1,500 because I don't have $1,500. I mean, if you have $1,500, that might help you, but instead, just do something. Just try it and see what works, because you're not going to get it right every time. And that's a lesson that I have to learn, a lesson that a lot of people probably have to learn. But before you can learn the lesson, you have to actually do it, right? You like, you can sit here and say, well, I don't have any content, so I'm not going to do it. Well, that's not a lesson. That's just being lazy or giving up or wallowing in your, you know, pity, you know, poor me, woe is me, I suck, I can't do this. That's not going to help you at all, right? It's only going to make you feel worse. And it kind of comes back to, I don't care if you're a man or a woman, if you're down on yourself, it's hard to get out of that. And you need to think about it as if you were one of your friends, would you treat your friend that way? And some of you might, I don't know. I hope not, but some of you might. Or there might be like some tough love, or you're thinking it's tough love, or, you know, whatever's happening or going on in your world or whatever. But let's just think of this. If you keep talking negatively to yourself, then, or if someone in your life has always spoken to you negatively, and you feel like those words are true, and you've kind of taken on that job yourself to put yourself down, that's not helping you. That's not helping you live your life. That's not helping you become successful. That's not making you feel good about yourself. And it might be a very comfortable place for you to be, but it's a very dangerous place for you to be if that comfort comes from putting yourself down. That's just bad, because I'm just going to say it. Everyone deserves to be happy. Everyone deserves to get over themselves and do what you love and not hate going through life like feeling like you suck. Yeah. Nobody deserves that. And I don't care. I mean, shoot, my background, oh my gosh, like, how I grew up and the circumstances of my life, I was never good enough, and I still don't feel good enough, and it's a struggle every day to get out of that mindset. And every time I do something for a client, I have to go way above and beyond, and I don't charge for my above and beyondedness, and and then you're waiting for the accolades, and, people don't know if you've gone above and beyond half the time. I mean, sometimes they do, but, they appreciate your work, but they're not going to pat you on the head. That's not how business works. You don't get patted on the head every time you do something good. I mean, even in a job, you don't even have to be an entrepreneur and run your own business. If you go to work every day and you're sitting in an office and you're doing a job, your boss or your coworkers aren't going to come, every 10 minutes and pat you on the head and say, oh, what a great job you're doing. I mean, there might be some environments like that, but I mean, just do your job and feel confident in your knowledge and your abilities, and just know that you're not always going to get everything right. And you just might as well put yourself out there without everything being right until you can learn and get it right, or make it better or whatever, because you don't know until you try, right? So you're running a business, you've got products to sell, you're not getting website traffic, you're not really posting consistently on social media, you have maybe 2 or 3 people on your email list, you're not sending out emails, and so if you do send out an email, these people who signed up 5 months ago are going to be like, what is this? And they're going to unsubscribe, and it's going to make you feel like crap. Well, you're going to have to get over that. You're going to have to own up to where you are. So own up to it. Just say, I've done this. I've neglected this. I'm in this place. I'm pretty much starting from scratch, but I'm going to do this. And I'm going to just put it out there. It's not going to be perfect. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to put it out there and do it. So make a plan. Make a content plan. If anything, make a content plan. And you don't have to have one of these fancy planners or content planners. I mean, trust me, I've designed like all kinds of digital planners that you work with GoodNotes and on your iPad and your little Apple Pen and all that kind of stuff, and it's really cool, and I've shown it to friends, and I've made stickers, and I've shown it to friends, and look what I did. But it's just sitting there. Like, I think the last time I updated my cool digital planner was like August, maybe? I don't know. I mean, I haven't even made the pages and for any months. But I'm like, oh, I can sell this. Well, how can I sell it if I'm not updating it? And, then you're like, well, maybe this isn't the right thing. Well, who cares? Just put it out there. You know what you could do is you could sell it and put it out there and sell it, and people who buy it, I mean, they can give you feedback, or you can use it yourself and say, okay, and you'll release a new edition, and you push the new edition out to the people who've already bought it. I mean, all is not lost if you make a mistake. All is not lost if you do something and it flops. It just means that maybe you tweak the idea, or maybe you didn't know, or not research. That's dangerous. I scratch that. I didn't say that, because once you get into the world of research, then it's just a downward spiral that prevents you from just going out and just doing it. So don't research it. If you have an idea, try it. If it doesn't work, tweak it or trash it and try again, right? As long as you're consistent. It's all about staying in front of people who could be your target audience, or your potential target audience, or even people who follow you. Like, you never know, and you won't know until you try or do it, right? And I'm talking to myself here too. This is like a pep talk for me too, because like, I don't know how this podcast is going to go over. And oh, by the way, this is like the 6th recording of this actual episode. I've deleted the other 5 because, I get in my head. So, I'm just like you guys, and, you just got to push forward. You've got to trust in the knowledge that you do have. Like, I have a lot of knowledge about building websites and coding and Search Console and, marketing and Facebook ads. I have lots of information and knowledge about that I can actually perform those duties and be very successful, right? But the hard part is getting over myself to the point where I can promote myself. And I think that's an issue with a lot of people, male or female alike. If you want to be an entrepreneur, you're going to have to get over that. And I say this, 2009, I started my own business. So that's 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 years ago, almost 15 years ago that I started my own business. And, a lot of business I get have been referrals. But then there comes a point where you either gotta like shit or get off the pot. I'm sorry, I know I said a bad word, but you're either gonna do it or not. And if you're going to do it, do it. If you're not going to do it, scrap it all and get a job on your, like, working for a business or a company, because you can't live your life in whatever this is, in a cycle of, I don't know, of not doing, of halfway doing it, of wishing for referrals, or busying yourself with things that aren't really benefiting you, right? Like, for 2 years almost, I've, wanted to do Pinterest. But, I'm like, oh, well, I have to do all this with my podcast episodes first, and I have to do this. Okay, well, just do 1 or 2, Misty. Just do it. I mean, so here we are with at podcast episode 50, right? 50, that I was going to do this big grandiose gesture for y'all, and nope, didn't happen. Takes too long. But if you plan, and you plan your work, and you have like a project plan, and you have a timeline, I mean, like, I don't know, when I was in college, y'all would have like laughed at me. I was like the big nerd, and I had this big desk calendar, like one of those blotter calendars that I kept on my desk, and I bought magic markers, and each class that I took was a different color. Like, it was color coordinated with a separate color. And on my little desk calendar, I would put like colored squares around the dates that assignments were due, papers were due, there was going to be an exam or a final or whatever. And I had it all planned out, and I knew what I was going to do. And somewhere along the line, I stopped. I just stopped planning. And here I am. I'm doing a 50th podcast episode with nothing grandiose or amazing to give y'all. Except my advice, obviously. I mean, I think I'm giving awesome advice. As long as I take my advice too, and as long as you take my advice. I mean, we can do this together. I mean, again, you can reach out to me. I have a voicemail link. You can leave me a voicemail straight from this podcast. And, if you want someone to keep you accountable, we can keep each other accountable. But, I mean, here's the thing. You have to have a plan first. You have to know what you're doing, or you have to know your goals. You have to know what your business is about, right? So if you know your business is about selling certain products, then you have to create those products, or you have to have or find a way to have those products. And then you have to have a vehicle in which to sell those products. And so you have to sit down, and you have to commit yourself to make plans. And yes, it's written down, and that's holding yourself accountable. And a lot of people are like, oh, if I write it down, then it's real. Oh, yeah, well, that's the whole point, right? So it's real. But to get from start to selling things, you have to market yourself. So I'm going back to content creating, right? And this is why I'm telling you, if you're first starting out, or if you're a small business or whatever, I think you should be the one creating your content. You can repurpose the same content over and over. You can make videos and break them up, or you can do blog posts and break them up into posts and whatever. I mean, just do it. Just go out there. You can do a blog post, put it on your website. You don't have a website? Okay, well, let's start an email list, and you can email blog posts. You don't have to have a website nowadays to build an email list. Like Flowdesk has its own little landing pages that you can use, and they even have like integrations with Stripe, so you can sell stuff. You don't have to have a website to get started. You can just put your information out there and start growing your email list, and then you can put yourself out with social media accounts, so like Instagram and Facebook and TikTok and Pinterest. But you have to be consistent with these things. Whatever you choose, you don't have to choose all of them. You can choose one, but just be consistent and use your own voice. I mean, you don't have to worry about like, well, I have to pick out all these keywords. That'll come later, because, get a baseline. This is what I always say, get a baseline. So just do what you feel is right to do and see if it works. And if it doesn't work, don't be hard on yourself. Seriously. Just kind of switch it up, because, you see these things working for other people, they don't have, or they didn't have, I guess, starting out. I mean, if you listen to their stories, they didn't know what they were doing. But, write it down, plan it. On this day, I'm going to post this. On this day, I'm going to post this. And, you can mix in a lot of transparency, like mix in pictures of yourself or pictures of whatever you do, your house. I mean, if you do interior design, take pictures of inspiration. If you are a brand creator or whatever, like do photos, or not photos, do colors, like color schemes, or you could do photos of different color schemes. And you can like show people part of your personal life, like, that kind of helps with people to get to know you and, relate with you. Like, oh yeah, I've been there too, and this is what they're doing. Okay, cool. Well, let me try. Because, I mean, how do I want to say this? Yes, the goal is to make money, right? But the goal is also to maybe inspire someone or help someone reach their goals, right? I mean, if you sell clothes, you sell these clothes so other people can feel fabulous in them, or you think it's cool. And I mean, maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's just me. Maybe you just want to sell t-shirts just to sell t-shirts and to make money. But if you're designing these t-shirts, it's something that you've created and you've put out in the world. So there's some sort of inspiration there, and there's some sort of driving factor as to why you want to do it, right? I mean, it could be all, just for the glory of it, or just to make money. Whatever it is, though, you're not going to be able to do it unless you have a plan, right? And again, I'm talking to myself about this. My husband does this all the time. We sit and talk about business, and then he'll say something, and I'll be like, well, I do that. He's like, oh, no, I'm talking to myself, too. It's not just you. I'm saying this for my own purposes, too. And if you say it and you do it over and over again, and if you write a plan and follow your plan and use a calendar and schedule your time, and, if you wing it, you're just going to wing it, and your whole business is going to be that way. It's going to be haphazard, willy-nilly. And, getting back to the content creation, I mean, maybe you can sit down and think of a few words that you want to sprinkle through your content that, maybe would, that would appeal to a target audience or to someone that you would like to have as a customer. But I wouldn't go overboard. I see these posts all the time, and I see these people saying all the time, oh, well, you have to do the keywords. And I even see ads of people saying, oh, you have to write down keywords and you have to do keywords because that's what people search for. And to a point, that's true. But then I see, documentation from Google saying this is how we look at things. This is how we do things. So, and it's more like quality, fresh content, like your perspective, not regurgitating what you heard, 5 weeks ago on a podcast or something. Like, make it come from you, because that is what makes your brand and whatever you're selling or your business unique, is you, right? So you have to plan and set a schedule and just follow through with it. I mean, if you want to post on social media once a day, you can batch your content. Even if you don't know what to post, just post something. And then once you start posting, then you'll get an idea of what is working and what is not working. And the same with your email list. I mean, if you give out some quality content in an email list, then you know what's working, you know what people are liking, and then you can provide some sort of product around that if you don't already have a product to sell, if you're just getting started, or you can put out information about your products. I mean, right now it's right before Christmas. Might not be the best time to start selling product. Well, it could be. I mean, you've already missed Black Friday, but everything's on sale up until Christmas. But if you're not ready to roll with it, I mean, no, I'm not going to say it. I'm going to say get started now. Don't wait. Get started now. because you can always think of a million reasons not to. But if you have one reason to do it, that's worth doing it for. Does that make sense? I think it does make sense. So, all right. So content. If you're just starting out, create a bunch of content, see what works. Be consistent. Do it once a week or twice a week, or post on social media every day or every other day or whatever. Find a schedule and stick to it and see how that works. And do that for, 3, 5, 6 months, right? Right. And just do it. And stay consistent and stay on a plan. And then develop from there. See what works. Track your analytics. Everything has analytics nowadays, even social media. So if you're on Instagram or Facebook, Pinterest, it'll tell you what's getting how many views or likes or clicks or insights or whatever. Everything tells you. And if you have a website, use the analytics, use the search console. See how what you're doing is working. That's the other thing. If you don't know what's working, then you don't know how to keep going. So that's why you have to have a plan. That's why you have a baseline set. That's why you look at the analytics. That's why you take those analytics and you tweak what you're doing, and you're always growing and you're consistently growing. And if you do that as you, and if you do that with your own uniqueness and spin and brand, then I think you're going to be fine. I think you're going to be okay. I think you're going to be a lot happier because, you'll have your days planned out. You'll have, you might get stuck at some point with what do I post? But just if all else fails, post a picture of outside your house and say, look, I saw this today, because people like to know that they're dealing with people. Back before social media really started, it wasn't that way. But with social media, you feel like someone based upon what they post. You feel like their personality, their style, their likes, what they do in their spare time, what they are about, what they're for. I'm seemingly going on forever about this. And so, yeah, I wouldn't hire a content creator until you could hire one that's solely dedicated to you. Because if you're going to spend all this time building your specific brand and your specific voice and getting website traffic based upon your specific products and your specific voice, a content creator is not going to be able to replicate that. So, and again, I'm sorry, all you content creators out there who are making lots and lots of money doing this for people, but I just feel very strongly about it. If you can hire a content creator just for you, and you can delegate and write down exactly what you want, and they can take it from there, and maybe they have better grammar or better words, they're walking thesaurus or whatever, and they can spin it better, that's awesome. But if they're doing that for multiple businesses, I don't think you're really getting your money's worth, or that you're probably just selling yourself short if you do that. You're gonna lose yourself in the translation of your business. So, all you have to do is look at Jenna Kutcher or Amy Porterfield. She has all these people working for them, but they're dedicated. They have a whole team dedicated, and they know her voice, and she tells them what she wants, and they learn her voice, and that's how that should go. It shouldn't be that you have your own voice and then all of a sudden you hire someone and they go in a different direction. You can really tell from the quality of posts. I can see that on Facebook and Instagram. I can tell when some brands switch their content creators because it's totally different. It's one it's kind of weird, and then the next it's right on, and then it's weird again. And so you can tell, and that message that you're putting out there needs to be consistent, and the people that you hire need to have that same voice, or be told how to do the same voice as you. And that's kind of where this AI stuff comes back into play. I saw a post on Instagram of a brand yesterday, and they were like apologizing for some of their posts who have offended people, and that they were using an AI generator to create their posts for them. And all these comments, like they were getting comments on their posts, but it was like, what are you doing? This is awful. You're wrong. Are you racist? I mean, it was awful to the point where this brand had to apologize. So if you're using AI, I wouldn't trust it 100% solely to do your content for you. I mean, maybe you can get ideas, and that's the whole thing about AI, is to use it as a jumping off point, or if your brain is blocked or whatever, to get ideas, but don't use it solely just to do your posts. So, okay, well, I think I've talked enough today. It's been almost 35 minutes. I didn't know I had it in me. But this is my 50th podcast episode gift to you. Be true to yourself. Plan for success. And it's my gift to me too, because I'm not saying that I'm an expert at this. I'm saying that I need to do this too. And maybe next time you'll have a course or something fabulous that I can have you download. But yeah, if this is the best advice that I could give to you right now, this is it. Plan, have a written plan each day, get things done, and be successful. Don't worry about what other people think of you. You were put here for a purpose. You were put here for a reason. Don't play yourself down not to be able to live out your purpose. You're going to be a lot happier when you're being you. And thank you so much for listening. You guys are awesome. Everyone who listens to my episodes, thank you very much. You help me every day that I see that someone's listened, and I really appreciate you, and I hope you find this helpful. And yeah, leave me a voice message. Click the link in the show notes to leave a voice message. And if you need help or just want to talk, or just hit me up, seriously, because I think sometimes we get stuck and we all need a big kick in the butt to get out of it. And I hope that's what this episode was about and for. And I hope it's inspired you. I hope I inspire myself. And I expect big things from y'all. And I expect big things of myself too in the future. So thank you so much for listening. And happy websiting, happy content creating, happy business planning. Until next time, bye.
I'm gonna be the biggest rock star that you probably never heard of. I'm gonna be the biggest rock star.